How's it going, YouTube? Got FourthStarTCG here, and today we're in a new location. I'm into a new space, a new apartment, very excited. There's going to be a lot more content coming. Normally while I'm away at school, I don't really post stuff, but now really looking forward to getting out some good content. So today I wanted to talk about PSA grading. Normally, when I talk about grading, I talk about the broader status of professional grading, including other companies, but today I want to talk about PSA. I want to show off, or not really show off, but just sort of talk about, my goodness, this is just like, I have a giant box here, and it is basically full of cards that I was going to send a PSA, that I would like to send a PSA, but I can't do that now. I have just a ridiculous amount of cards, just going through these here, showing off all the cards that I think, should be graded. They're in good condition, I'll grade them. There's a big one there, Charizard, just tons of stuff that I have that I've accumulated over some of these. Most of this is like over the past 8 to 9 months or so. The last time I did a PSA submission was in January of 2021. So, I have a ton of cards basically. And a lot of other people are the same way. They got a ton of cards, ton of stuff, some of it's pretty big. Some people have, their lottery promos, their quick starter stuff. But a lot of people don't have that stuff. A lot of people, it's stuff like this that would normally go in bulk, your black, white, full arts. No one's sending these Kabalion EXs in at $150 a card. PSA's reduced their express submission tier. Nobody's sending Terrakions in at $150 a card. No one's sending in regular Meloetta EX. All this kind of stuff that it's just, no one's gonna pay. The price of the card is much less than the cost of the grading fee. Even for stuff like Diamond and Pearl, these are beautiful cards. Even these black, white, ultra rares and stuff that I have, it's really just like not viable to submit them at the high prices. So everyone's kind of stuck around waiting for the lower submission tiers to open. And the big question is, when is that going to happen? And I am here to tell you sort of first and foremost that it's not going to happen for a very, very long time. So PSA has been closed since April of this year. And as I'm talking, I'll just sort of go through these cards, give you an idea of exactly what I have. And I'm sure everyone, I'm a small player in this. There's a lot of people that have a lot more cards that they've acquired over the past year that they're waiting to send off. So PSA, they shut down in April. And they... Goodness, yeah, I think it was April 1st, they basically said, we're not taking submissions anymore. I think they raised prices on March 1st and then basically totally shut down April 1st except for Super Express. And the only service level they've reintroduced since then, here's some nice ones. These might go in at $150 a card, to be honest. Or maybe when they open up the regular service tier, because I think all these are like 9s. I don't think any of them are 10s. So PSA has been closed since April, and they've worked through up to about October of 2020 with the backlog. And what I think a lot of people, they kind of measure the progress of the backlog linearly, right? They say, okay, we're through October, PSA was backed up towards, goodness, probably May, I'd say early May. With submissions, that was when the backlog really started, when the pandemic really started kicking in. So people are backed up. They said, okay, it's taken, them from April through September to get from May to October. So they're getting through about about 1 month of the backlog per month, a little bit more. And they say, okay, well, to get to April is probably going to be about 6 more months. And this is with PSA Scaling, they're grading more cards. So people say, okay, well, even if they get more submissions in, they're going to be able to grade more cards. And that's half correct. PSA is certainly scaling up very quickly. But what PSA is not really doing, or what people miss out, is just the absolute volume of submissions. The massive amounts that came in the early months of 2021. I think PSA said that they got more submissions in 3 days than they did in 3 months, or 3 weeks or something. I'm not exactly sure, but it's like some ridiculous comparison that tells you exactly like really how crazy everything is with PSA right now. So it's going to take, I would conservatively place it at another year from now until we get the reopening of, I'd say, bulk/value tiers of grading cards. I really don't think that before next summer, before next fall, things are going to be sort of open back up with PSA. I just really don't think it's going to happen. Based on my looking at the numbers, based on my looking at the turnaround times, all these kind of things, it's going to be a very long time until you get to send off, your cards that are certainly worth grading. Here I have Delta Hollows, this Jolteon, that's probably a couple $100 in a 10. Same with these Deoxys, Feraligatr, even like, this Charizard might go in regular when that opens up, because I think this might be a 10, all these things, these level X cards, these are a couple $100 in a 10, but, I'm not paying $150, $100, even like 75, it would just not make sense to grade these. It makes sense to grade these at $20 a card, $25 a card, something like that. And that service tier is really, it's going to be a very long time before we see something like that come through. And so the implications for this, first, it's that if you do have, all of these, I'm sure everyone has like a giant stack of this, just like me, that they've been saving up stuff to grade, stuff that they really want to submit, but, just can't at this point, and it doesn't make sense financially to submit it. So a couple of the sort of solutions that I have for people, there's not really any kind of clear cut, oh, you should do this, you should do that. You basically just kind of have to you have 2 options, right? Or well, you really have 3 options. One, you can ridiculously overpay and get your cards graded. You can just sort of sit on it, right? You can wait, again, stuff like Lantern Prime. I'm not grading that anywhere. I'm not grading this. It's not in bulk, basically. Ho-Oh Legend. These I was actually, my lottery promos, I was actually thinking of grading these at $150 a card. I think that might make sense at some point, not immediately, but in the near future, I might grade them at $150 a card. But yeah, I basically have like 4 to 5 cards that I grade at $150 a card, and that's about it. The vast majority of my stuff, your standard Naked Misty, that kind of stuff, your banned Sabrina's Gaze, E-Series Hollows, that kind of stuff, all this stuff that I have that's, beautiful stuff, don't get me wrong, this is fantastic. But I'm not putting this in anything over, maybe some of these I do $50 a card for, like the Suicune, Entei, that kind of stuff. Here's another, my crystals, those probably need to go in at $150. So does this Umbreon, like I was saying, because this Umbreon's pretty mint. But yeah, like I was saying, people probably have just a couple cards that they want to send off at those higher service levels, and they got so much that they're waiting on. So I don't really know what PSA is going to do. I think like all we can hope for at this point is that things kind of slow down over the next year. I think like once people start to realize, Pokemon is a kind of high turnover hobby. Obviously the people who have stacks of cards like this, they're not going to be totally leaving the hobby. But the people who have to wait, and I think here's my like final stack of cards that I have. People who have to wait over a year, and people who have already been waiting, goodness, what is it, from April to, that's 5 months. Submissions have been shut down for about 5 months now, a little over. I think the people who sort of just started out collecting, who have maybe a stack of 10 cards, stack of 20 cards, that kind of stuff, they are not going to wait that long. They're going to do the sort of third option, which is use another grading company. They're going to use CGC. They're going to use some of these newer grading companies, which are certainly not all that reputable and do not command a secondary market premium. But people are going to use them anyway. They're going to grade their cards because they think that somehow having a graded card, check out that beautiful Celebi, my goodness, raises the value when it's not. It's a reputation of the grading company. I did a video on this. Check out these. I'll just sort of pause my rambling for a second. I cannot wait to grade these. But again, these are $100 cards. These are maybe 200, 300 and a 10. I haven't checked the values because, everything's out of whack now. This was released after PSA shut down. So the least you could pay to get one of these graded is $150. So, that's certainly inflated the prices right now. But once this settles, I see this being a $200, $300 card and a 10. I'm not paying $150. I paid $100 for the card. I'm not going to go $250 in on a card that's, max going to be $300 and a 10. That's just not a financially good decision to make. So I really do think that, it's going to take a while, and a lot of people are going to leave. A lot of people are going to go to different grading companies and stuff. And it's very interesting. We're in sort of a concerning period, not so much concerning, but an interesting period with Pokemon cards right now. I think, yeah, that's out of order. Whoops. Yeah, we're in an interesting period with Pokemon cards right now, especially with grading, with, hopefully people are going to start getting their backlog submissions back, like really into the bulk of the backlog. I think I actually just had a recent submission move from grading to QA check, which is great. I think that was my 120 card submission that I sent off early August last year. So it's been over a month since I sent that off. I'm hoping to have it back sometime before the end of the year, but really not holding my breath on that. Again, there's just so much that's out there, and I don't really want to get too into the market effects. I think a lot of people, will look at this pile, right, and they'll say like the crash is coming, right? You have so many cards that could be 10s that could, flood into the market and, make a ton of, make a big splash and really hit some prices. And I think those people are really overreacting. Again, I really want to emphasize how long it's going to take for these cards to be graded. We are looking at I'd say optimistically, I'd say 2 years from now, I would have, for example, this Cobalion EX, or probably not this Cobalion, but something like, these Lugias that I would send off in one of my first, value bulk kind of tier submissions. I'd say 2 years from now, I will get these Lugias back graded. And there is a lot that can happen in 2 years. So really, if you want these cards, if you want a PSA 10 Plasma Gale Lugia, if you want a Cobalion, don't wait for 2 years because you think the price is gonna go down once myself and a bunch of other people submit to PSA. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, just sort of some rambling as I showed off all these cards that I have to submit. and it is a lot. Really, really excited to eventually submit all these cards to PSA. Maybe some of them would go off to CGC. I'll have to see how my CGC return checks out. But yeah, pretty excited for that. Pretty excited for everything in the hobby. You know, I'm not one, you know, it's going to take me a ton of time to grade these cards, but you know, enjoy what you've got, keep building up that collection. And you know, if you're in it for the long run, it's all going to work out eventually. So thank you very much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe and stick around for more videos.